Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're talking about the ongoing riots and terrible protests gone wrong that are plaguing the United States of America. This has been going on for about a week now and it seems to have no end in sight. In fact, things have seemed to have gotten way worse in New York City. New York City had only just started to barely recover from the virus and the outbreak. That place was the hardest hit by that terrible health scare. And now they've turned into chaos once again. This time, rioting and looting is taking place. The city's been overrun by criminals. NYPD can't help or stop. They are outnumbered. Everything's going insane. And people are starting to say, hey, where's the mayor? Why isn't there any leadership here? Mayor de Blasio, of course, is nowhere to be found. He's just kind of duffing that up once again, just like how he did with the virus. This is the same reason. He couldn't handle the virus. That's why his city took it the worst, and he just blew the whole response. And he's doing the same thing with these rioters and looters and criminals. And today we actually have an interesting story to go along with that. Believe it or not, but another Democrat, the leader of the whole state of New York, Governor Cuomo, he's finally resorted to calling out Mayor de Blasio. That's right, the liberals are finally turning on each other, as they should at least. I mean, I'm not one to defend Andrew Cuomo either. The governor is a bad Democrat too, and he's made some bad mistakes along with the virus and other kinds of stuff. But the fact that he wants to step up and save New York City, I think that's a good sign. That's something we can get behind. And if they want to kind of displace or take out this mayor, that's a great move. I mean, I know they'll just bring in another Democrat, but de Blasio is the worst, so it really can't get much worse than him, at least from where I'm standing. And this story is very exciting and I think very interesting to a lot of us. So let's go ahead and jump in. We've got a video and article to go over. This is from Graby, and it says, Cuomo says de Blasio can be displaced and that he can take over the mayor's job. The NYPD and the mayor did not do their job last night. This is all about Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, trying to take out the mayor of New York City. That's Mayor de Blasio. And this kind of infighting is to be expected. I mean, the way things are going so bad right now, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. These Democrats are just totally being terrible. They're running things poorly. And on top of that, they usually tend to defend themselves and kind of go after other people, even if they're the ones that are guilty. So to see this happen, to see this kind of turn of events, it's very interesting. And I think it's worth talking about. So with all that said, let's check out this video from Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York.
And he can do it with the NYPD. First,
Grabian,
the
the
NYPD
multimedia
and the
marketplace.
mayor did not do their job last night. I believe that. Second, you have 38,000 NYPD
Grabian,
people.
the multimedia
It is the
marketplace.
largest
So there's like a Gravian note under this video, which is very annoying. But regardless, we can still kind of tell what he's saying. He says, hey, the mayor didn't do his job last night. This was the riots that happened last night. The stores were getting taken over. People were overtaking the cops in a lot of places. Nothing was done to move forward and to take another step. They just let it go. And that's what happened in Minneapolis too. And they had an awful liberal leader as well. They just let things go. They're like, oh, we're just going to hide away in our bunkers and our ivory towers. These rich guys live in mansions and stuff. And they're like, all right, let's just protect ourselves. Let those guys go crazy. It'll die down on its own. And that's really kind of the worst way to handle things. I mean, I'm sure it actually works out in the far end, but things just get too chaotic and it just turns into the Purge. It's like walking out in the street in the middle of the Purge movie or something, you know? It's like they want it to go crazy and they're just going to let it die down on its own. So it's basically anarchy. I mean, that's what anarchy is. No rule of law, no one controlling things, no one saving this or that, no one protecting, you know, kind of making sure that law and order is enforced, stopping people from going into this store. None of that happened in New York. The NYPD basically stood down, and as Governor Cuomo is stating here, we're actually siding with him for once. And yeah, he said there's like 38,000 NYPD cops in that city. This is a big city with a giant police force that wasn't even used fully, not even used properly at all. And in addition to that, I mean, this is just the first step. Then they could have brought in the state police, and then they could have brought in the National Guard, the military. I mean, do what you got to do, people. This is the biggest city in our country. We need to protect places like New York, Washington, Minneapolis too, and Los Angeles even. I mean, dislike these cities as much as you want, but they still deserve protection. There's lots of innocent people there, lots of conservative people there that don't agree with this liberal nonsense. Now, granted, there is another side to this. I can't admit that it's very, very tempting to say, hey, liberals asked for this. They're the ones that voted in these terrible leaders. They're the ones that are starting these riots and purporting this kind of race-baiting ideology that's caused all this too. So in a way, it is them getting a comeuppance, but we're still going to be critical and say, hey, someone should stop this. Someone should save this city, especially when it's historical, major ones, major players for America. Like New York City represents America in a lot of ways, it being our biggest, business capital. So to see this happen there is very upsetting, and I'm glad to see Cuomo kind of coming against it finally.
Police department in the United States of America. Use 38,000 people and protect property.
Grabian, the multimedia marketplace.
Use the police, protect property and people. Look at the videos. It was a disgrace. I believe
Grabian, the multimedia marketplace.
So that Grabian thing is going to be like underneath the video for the whole time. I mean, I'm sorry to get too distracted by that. That's just funny. I don't like anyone that does those kinds of audio footnotes. It's like when you put a little label on your picture on Instagram so that people share it, that they know where it came from. I understand it. I understand they want credit. Fine, Grabian, you got your credit. But do you have to do it the whole video, man? Like, you're doing it in the middle of his speech. Like, what is this? Do they know I'm recording or something? Like, I don't get what's going on. But yeah, back to the actual topic. We got this governor saying he saw the videos. We all saw the videos. We saw people just kind of going around town. No one was stopping them. No one was stopping these people from going into stores, breaking stuff, running around, setting things on fire. It doesn't look like my country. Where's my country gone, huh? And in this case, I think it's gone, to the suburbs. I think a lot of people are going to be reconsidering what they're doing and where they live and their lifestyles. I think this actually happened after the civil rights era, and there was a lot of riots in cities like that. Similar things happened before in our country. This isn't the first time, and this isn't the first time things have been race-baited, but I'm not here to say, the civil rights movement was necessary. There was a lot of things wrong back then. They fought some actual racism. That thing is said and done, but it did cause a lot of chaos in the cities, and it brought things like violence and cops and these kinds of tear gas and stuff. And what happened after that was a lot of people moved to the suburbs, and then those people got called racist for moving to the suburbs again too. And that's something we've talked about before as well. And we've seen those Adam Ruins Everything videos where they said, oh, the white flight is racism because they're trying to get away from the minorities. But, remember the minorities caused all those riots, and then there was all this crime, and then, what? Now we have to let them take over the suburbs too? Like, they can move to the suburbs if they want. And that's what's going to happen now. I think a lot of people are going to reconsider. I don't want to live in California. I don't want to live in Chicago or New York. Like, why would you want to be in some place that any time could just turn into a riot and the people take over? I mean, there's just a numbers game there where you're safer in more suburban areas where they can have, better control of their tax funds, and they can have more police force that balances things out and has a more effective presence. Like, if there's more cops to people ratio, they could just protect things more, and they can have more of a budget. They can have more toys like cars, gear, stuff to protect you, helicopters. But when you're in a big city, yeah, they have a budget too, and they have things like a lot more people paying in with taxes. But at the same time, there's just way too many people for them to keep control. And that's what's been proven by these riots, and that's what's going to cause people to leave these cities. I've already heard people talking about it. People are leaving California already. People are leaving these other spots and going away in droves. They're not going to want to come back either. But the one thing I ask, and I think this is something everyone should point out, is if you are one of those people, if you are leaving a city or trying to escape these liberal hellholes, make sure you don't bring your politics. Like, don't ruin your new place. It doesn't make sense to leave somewhere like Los Angeles and then go to Texas and make that state blue too. You don't want to start voting Democrat and ruining the new state just because, don't bring your politics is the point. Like, don't bring these bad ideas. Move to these places. You're welcome. No one's going to stop you, but you are going to kind of be working against things and ruining a new place if you do something like that.
I believe the mayor underestimates the scope of the problem. I think he underestimates the duration of the
The
problem.
multimedia marketplace.
And I don't think they've used enough police to address the situation, because it's inarguable, but that was not addressed.
The multimedia
last night,
marketplace.
right? Facts. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm surprised to hear him say it, but at some point, the governor has got to stop playing politics. He's got a job. And when you see your biggest city, I mean, New York State has a lot of stuff going on, sure, but it's mainly a home for New York City. I mean, there's a few other places. There's Albany, there's Buffalo. It's not nothing, but it is mostly New York City. So the governor has a lot of jurisdiction on that. Granted, he's not specifically involved in the details of New York because the mayor is in charge there, but the governor oversees the mayor. So the fact that he's considering and possibly threatening to step in, I mean, that's a good thing. That's a good move in the right direction. Let's see these liberals self-reflect, and them criticizing each other is a good move. Like, I don't want to give him too much credit. Cuomo's done a lot of bad things, and his brother's a terrible CNN reporter, but if this goes through and we see someone taking down or at least scaring de Blasio enough to act, I mean, that's what the guy needs apparently, because this is his second crisis he's messed up in the same month. I mean, like we were just talking about, he just blew and duffed up the whole health scare crisis. That is still going on. Apparently, people don't care or talk about it anymore. They're definitely not social distancing, and now he's blowing it up and not using the cops properly in this riot. And it has to do with politics and liberal reasons. Like we talked about in these other cities and other places, the reason they won't arrest these guys is because they don't want to be called racist. These rioters are mostly minorities or minority sympathetic. So to kind of arrest them, it's like a catch-22 where it's like, are you supporting the causes? Are you pro-BLM? Well, then you can't send out cops if you're adhering strictly to these liberal doctrines. But at least someone is being an adult. It looks like Cuomo is trying to kind of come around and do the right thing. But again, he's still bad too, and he has a lot of awful ideas. I'm not sure he could do much better, but I don't think anyone can do worse than de Blasio. So the point of today is de Blasio's bad, bad, bad. New York City needs to get saved. Really, they need to bring in a conservative leader, like more of a classic leader like Giuliani, who used to be, I think, more liberal, middle ground or conservative, but he saved that city after the whole 9/11 problem, and maybe someone else like that could save New York again, because they definitely need it. They need some help. They're struggling. And this news story shows that even some of the top Democrats are seeing how bad New York has become. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Tell me what you think and comment your thoughts on everything below. This is a breaking, very new story, very interesting, and very sad to see New York has fallen so far. So I hope you guys liked what we talked about. Tell me your thoughts below. Also hit that like button to get us shared. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Also subscribe to our second channel, NoBS News. Until next time, you guys have a great day. Let me just take a quick moment to talk to you about my second channel. I recently relaunched and revamped No Bullshit 2, and it's now called NoBS News. I'm going to be doing new videos on there almost every day on weekdays, and then weekends we're going to be doing more live streams. So make sure you guys check out that second channel. There's already like say 10 or 12 more videos on there for you to check out right now. So if you want more content, search NoBS News on YouTube or click the link below this video.